And welcome back to Arkansas. I'm sure you were all really missing it, so that's great. Obviously, taking the types of initiatives and steps that Amber wants to take for herself professionally and for the students at Polk and the administration and everybody as well, it's going to be a multi-year process. And so we try to break it down in manageable steps on her part. So year one, we hope you enjoy the graphics, by the way. Tom and I took care of that. So we certainly want her to continue to establish a trust amongst herself and the staff. She has to look at this as a long-term process. Certainly the revolutions and things like that we've talked about in education that we've all discussed online and that we feel are coming, or at least would be beneficial if they do come to fruition, they can't be overnight. They have to be in stages. So she has to gain this trust so she has more of like a stakeholder involvement, and some of the old ways of thinking, people want to be rid of them rather than just relying on them because that's what they're used to. She also wants to establish connections with members of staff and keep things going day to day, gain that principal's attention and trust, because if she doesn't have that level of trust, she may not be able to take that leadership position later on where she's in a spot or in a job position that she can actually put them into play. She's also going to really need to start taking student data now to make sure that she has more of a control later on to establish that changes they make have in fact been beneficial and that there's a reason for the additional work that it's going to take. Breaking any mold, there has to be a reason behind it. And so she has to have ground zero before she can take steps 1, 2, 3 and show everybody that she does have the right frame of mind for their growth. Years 2 and 3. Now those are the last 2 years in which the current administration, at least by their plans, will still be in the school. The principal and the other vice principal will have retired by the end of this year, so it's kind of like their later years in establishing more of a role. She's going to really start, as the principal actually says in their meeting, to do more peer evaluation and more general work with the language arts team, which is the discipline that she was familiar with coming into administration. So he actually did open up the door a little bit to her being able to do that, and she needs to take advantage of it and show that this truly is something that she wants to take part in. She needs to continue that rapport with staff and students. The students are going to be there longer than either of those two administrators. She needs to start a reputation that she is there for them and has their best interest in mind, because any staff initiative, if it's not bought into by the kids, it's going to struggle, if not completely fail. Continue to collect that data. See if it's, has it risen a little bit, maybe in the language arts specifically. That would be the ideal situation. That if the work that she was doing with those language arts teachers had immediately or close to immediately gained some ground. Or has it remained fairly steady and not where they want it to be, which again, long term, might not be that detrimental. It actually could be beneficial for what she wants to do to show that her plan is the way that they need to go. She also needs to research professional development opportunities for herself and the staff. They can't stay in that old way of thinking. They have to not only buy into a new level of thing, but get passionate about it and find some elements of these new policies that they philosophically agree with, or maybe philosophically agreed with at one point in their careers. So that way, they get behind her in addition to what she's trying to do at the school. Year 4, Amber will get much older. That's what we noticed from the picture. So those first 3 years have taken a toll. But in year 4, with that old administrative team now retired, this is her opportunity to take over the school. And the principal in their meeting discusses the fact that, if you play your cards right, which is, it's a terrible way of almost like motivating her to just kind of do what he says, but it might backfire on that long-term thinking. If she becomes principal in year 4, as he kind of teases her with, now it's time to really put all this into play. all the data that she's collected, it's time to really, work with that. Start working not just with a language arts teacher, but more interdepartmentally. Create more of an ownership group, create maybe perhaps a leadership team that establishes what are the needs of the students, needs of the school, of the faculty, where do they see things going, and why hasn't it progressed or improved at a faster rate? Get them to buy in, have some stakeholder involvement. Establish a peer evaluation system. She's been working with language arts teachers in years 2 and 3. Not only should administrators be evaluating teachers, but teachers can learn from teachers as well. Their best practices. Go in and view some lessons. Get it so some of the more energetic teachers almost infect the others with that same energy and with that same passion, because that's what she's trying to create school-wide. And continue to give evaluation feedback from herself throughout the process, because if she doesn't, then it's going to seem like all the things that she was doing up to that point are just, almost for show. Year 5 and beyond. So she is now at least a somewhat established administrator, has become principal. Time to evaluate the test scores and see if they are making strides. Are the new evaluation systems, are the new professional development opportunities, are those actually taking an effect in that most palpable way of understanding the improvement of education? Unfortunately, it's still standardized test scores, but you've got to keep using those as long as that's your number one tool, or weapon's the wrong word, but it's your weapon against somebody who's saying that this isn't working. Monitor the progress of the dropout rates and college admissions at the higher levels. Is it having a long-term effect? Because now 5 years in, those kids that she had more of an impact with have moved on to the higher levels of education in their district. Has it been a long-term plan for these kids? Has it been a long-term benefit for these kids? If so, it's going to be very difficult for somebody to say that this is not how they should continue to progress. And we're going to work on reflecting, talking about the general ideas of things, and the remainder of the group will take their end of it. When I return, I'd love to answer any questions that people have. And again, hello and goodbye from Arkansas.